Last November, 10 people, including a 9-year-old boy, died at the Astroworld festival in Houston. It happened when crowds of concertgoers surged toward the stage. Some people were trampled after falling, others suffocated from the sheer force of the crowd, all while the concert continued. Now, 6 months later, the state is out with a list of recommendations to help prevent something like that from happening again. Daniel Marin joins us with a closer look at the report.
Josh, the report is 9 pages long, 7 if you don't count the cover page and the table of contents. It lays out some recommendations, but a crowd management consultant says it doesn't go nearly far enough.
5 months after Astroworld, a final report from the governor's Texas task force on concert safety, and many of the recommendations are ones you might expect, like an event should have centralized on-site command to shut down or pause a concert during an emergency, organizers should know ahead of time which agencies will respond to 911 calls, and organizers should research the artists to know what to expect.
It's a very disappointing report, very superficial.
Paul Wertheimer runs Crowd Management Strategies, a concert safety consulting firm in Los Angeles. In 1979, he was part of the task force brought together after a crowd surge killed 11 people at a The Who concert in Cincinnati. He believes the findings in the Texas report, while good ones, are just too general and nothing new, relying too much on documents already available online and saying too little about enforcement.
It's not going to go anywhere. They needed to put teeth in that report. You can't talk just about training. You have to talk about what kind of training. I didn't see any mention in the report about festival seating standing room environments, the kind of environment we saw at Astroworld.
The report does make specific recommendations when it comes to permitting for big events.
And we need to have proper permitting.
James Gresham is on the board of the Texas Municipal Police Association, which was part of the task force. He likes the recommendation for a statewide template for permits. You see, right now it's different rules in different places.
Some states, you look at, they have a really strong history of festivals. New York, California, for instance, and their planning requirements are much more extensive than what we have here in Texas.
Governor Abbott's office said no one would be available for interviews. They did ask us to send over some questions, which we did, including whether we should expect concert safety to be a part of the next legislative session. We have yet to hear back. Josh.
Thanks, Daniel. We looked into the permit recommendations created by the task force. The report said local officials can shut down a show if the organizer did not get a permit or violated its permit. And as we mentioned, the task force is also calling for a universal permitting template. That's after members found that the permitting process was inconsistent across the state. One thing worth mentioning in the report is that fines for operating an outdoor music festival without a permit are relatively low. Those found in violation face a fine of up to $1,000 or 30 to 90 days in jail. Earlier this month in Dallas, an outdoor concert that did not have a permit ended with a deadly shooting. 1 man died, 11 people were injured, including a woman who suffered a gunshot wound to the head. The concert promoters and property owners now face lawsuits. The task force had other recommendations when it comes to security. As Daniel mentioned, a multi-layered unified chain of command that outlines triggers for pausing or canceling a show, similar to when severe weather strikes should be established. Those triggers must be outlined in event permit applications and agreed to by all parties in advance. Representatives from local 911 response teams must be involved, as well as a designated member from the production team. Private security teams can be involved, but they cannot replace local law enforcement. The report cites communication as a key component, saying that local first response teams have existing relationships that can improve efficiency in times of disaster. One of the smallest portions of the report is training. Task force members recommend pre-show training, site walkthroughs, and security briefings, but offer no explicit requirements or consequences. There's bipartisan support on Capitol Hill to reduce our reliance on other countries for semiconductors. The Texans leading the way, and why there's still no final deal.
I didn't know the extent of it. No, I didn't. Didn't have a clue.
So this was eye-opening?
It was very much eye-opening.
Fake paper license plates on Texas roads linked to murders and other crimes. How our investigations are now helping police tackle what they call the #1 safety issue for law enforcement.